Hello and welcome live from IMEX America 2021. We're on the show floor with CEO Karina Bauer. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
First of all, how are you feeling being back on site?
Great. It's really fantastic to be back on site. It's emotional, it's exciting, and really energizing all at the same time.
It is very energizing. You watching live from BuzzHub right now, you can't hear all the noise because we've got little mics, but it's really, really buzzing and energetic. So much fun. Tell me, how has it been kind of behind the scenes planning this year's IMEX?
Yeah, ups and downs, I would say. But certainly in the last couple of months, it's sort of everything's clicked back into place for the team, and it's been fairly normal, apart from all the contingency plans and COVID planning, and apart from all of those things, it's felt fairly normal. I think the key thing just for this show is just that we've had to make decisions much later than we would normally like to do. And I think that's something that meeting planners and organisers, we've just got to get used to, actually not deciding too early, because things have been so changeable. We only knew that borders were opening 2 weeks ago, so suddenly there was all that to deal with. So we've just learned actually that that's okay, and to just be adaptable to the changes and what kind of roll with them and then manage them. So that's really the biggest change, I think, as opposed to previous shows where we kind of know weeks and months in advance exactly what's going to happen and how.
And event planners have always been pretty adaptable, but this is next level. And I think it's such an important skill for us to keep going forward, as you said.
Yes, I think it's a skill that we should retain no matter what happens, because I think it really allows you to adapt your event to the circumstances at the time, to the environment, and to your audience. And we were pretty good at contingency planning, but we had our staff briefing on Sunday afternoon, and our ops team were talking about our contingency plans in case there were queues, at registration and for vaccine verification. And we had 5 levels of contingency plans. So, and I laughed and I said, that just sums up everything that we've had to do this year.
It's quite insane.
Yeah.
Tell me, speaking of emotional reunions and getting back together, have there been any really moving moments since you got here in Vegas?
I think actually it's not just one moment that I can find. Just seeing people, I was here on the show floor from 7 a.m. to about 10:30 a.m. this morning, just seeing everybody come through, number of people just hugging each other, just so happy to be together again. Last night I was at site night, it was exactly the same. The energy at site night was like next level. And it was just, felt like a real proper reunion and party. I think for us as a team, Sunday was more emotional than today. Today was fun, Today was like, oh my God, it's happening. Sunday, when we got together as a team and just talked through what was going to happen, we do our pre-con. That was more emotional, I think. So it's just been a really great few days.
That's great. Well, it's going to be a great few next days coming up as well. And I must say congrats, because you say people have been hugging, I've been hugging, but it's very safe and we all feel very safe. That's not easy to get right.
No, absolutely. And obviously, I think everybody has their different sort of feelings around that, or sensibilities. And I think people have been very respectful. Some people are wearing masks and that they feel more comfortable. But a lot of people, I think, because they know it's a fully vaccine show, they understand that that's not 100% certain, but they also understand that significantly reduces their risk. And they are also reducing other people's risk. And so I think that's led to a really very normal, happy, comfortable feeling show. And we've also taken a lot of steps, to widen aisles. Education areas are double the size than they were before. The hosted by a lounge double the size than it was before. Lots of seating areas and big feeding areas, food courts on the show floor. So all of that was done really deliberately to give people a lot of space, so that if they wanted to find space in the show, they could get it.
That's fantastic. And another step that you've taken naturally is kind of embracing this new hybrid model with your BuzzHub community. Notably those who are watching us live right now, and who will probably watch this in 10 days or 10 months from now on demand on the BuzzHub. Can you tell me a little bit about the inspiration of creating that so long ago? I mean, 6 months ago now, right?
Yeah.
Very forward thinking, very ahead of the game. Where did that come about?
Yeah, it's interesting thinking back to it. Last year in 2020, when we had to cancel the shows, we did Planet IMEX, and that was 1 week of content. And we kind of realized it was amazing, but we also realized that wouldn't last. People are not going to probably want to go online for days at a time. It was a kind of a special moment in 2020. And so we sought in 2021 to create more of a community platform where we could do sort of shorter form content, on-demand content. And that was really the inspiration for the BuzzHub. And we also just wanted to learn what that meant and how to work it. And then as we went through the year, we realized that was a great platform for us to actually broadcast content from the show floor as well. And so now we can now in hindsight, we can kind of understand that flow, that we can have sort of small moments through the year to keep the community energized and then really give them some value from the show floor, which, as you say, they can, even if they're here today, they can watch that next week, because we're creating content on the show floor, but it's specifically for the online audience. So we're not sort of recording a session that's happening for an in-person audience. We're getting those same speakers to come and do a shorter form session, to do an interview, to give them a sense of what's here. So it'll be interesting to see what the numbers are like and what the engagement is like. But I think we've got to measure that over a period of time.
Yes.
It's not about who watches it live today. It's about who interacts with it over the next few weeks.
Even the next year, the community is a long game. You don't get results overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. So
absolutely, and I think that's the learning curve for event planners and organizers. We're used to building something that happens in one moment in time, and that's very different to building a community.
There's no deadline.
There's no deadline, and it's difficult from that perspective, and we found that challenging as well. How do you market that? That's a really different marketing proposition. Mm-hmm. So we're still learning, but it's been a really interesting learning curve for us, and I think every week we kind of understand it a little bit better.
And I'm going to come back to that. But first, I want to know, how has Swapcard as the platform for the BuzzHub kind of helped you with the technology to really engage that audience year round?
Yeah, I think you guys have been fantastic partners. I'm not just saying that because I'm on your booth today. But yeah, I think the thing with the platform, and we realised this, having used a couple of different ones last year as well, who are also wonderful, but you realise that the technology platform is our venue. When you're an event organizer and you use a physical venue, you go many times to the venue and you really look at it and you see all aspects of it, and you do show rounds and you have maps that you study, and then suddenly you get presented with this technology platform, which is your venue, and you don't really understand how to do that show around, and how to understand it. And so I think the tech platform, and certainly your team did this brilliantly, you really helped us to understand what we could do on the platform and how to leverage it for the programming that we wanted to do, without overwhelming us with every feature. Because I think all of the platforms have so many features.
Don't need them all.
And we don't need them all, exactly. And so I think that's where Swapcard really came into their own, and your team came into their own. And, for those that aren't aware, your team was collaborating with our team on our Microsoft Teams channels, and we kind of became one team, didn't we?
I love that. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so you could see everything we were doing, and you could kind of drop in and go, oh, guys, have you thought of this? Or that's not going to work. And so that kind of transparent collaboration, I think, was really valuable as well.
Great. Okay, coming back very quickly to what you were saying about the learning curve, and I love that you share that, because it's so important for us to be open with the industry at the moment. We're all learning together. Have there been any top of mind things that you've learned from this community over the past 6 months that have maybe been concretely implemented here, or that you're planning on using in the future?
Yeah, well, I think really what we're doing here with the BuzzHub Studio was really born out of what we learned by doing the BuzzHub this year, because we realized very quickly that we needed short content, that we needed dedicated content for that community. And we also learned quite quickly that, the community did, or our community, they like talking together and networking, but online they seem to like the sort of chat networking or chatting more than like coming off camera. And so those are the kind of things that we've tried to implement here. So but they do want to hear from the experts as well. So I think those are probably some of the things that we've learned as well, and also just little things like what they're interested in, because we asked a lot of questions about people's sort of personal interests, and so like for example, we were going to do some invite people into like say Fortnite, or like do an event in one of the games, but a lot of our community aren't gamers, so like we didn't do that. So there were little things along the way.
Always learning and always listening to your community. I think that's the most important thing. Last question, I guess, do you have any tips or words of advice for other event brands, other event planners that are wanting to embrace the community model like you have, that know it's the right idea but concretely don't know how to take that leap and make it happen?
I think the first thing I say is something that you said at the beginning, which is that it's not, you can't expect an overnight success. So I would put sort of maybe a year to 3 year ideally plan behind it, and some sort of realistic KPIs, so that you don't expect to suddenly have 10,000 people online chatting every day. And the other thing is that I think online, you really have to think about the content. What is going to drive somebody to come into your community versus going onto LinkedIn or going to a professional organization, or going to their favorite newspaper feed or whatever it is. So I really think you need to think through your USP and what that USP is for the content. And I don't know that we've got that 100% right yet, I would say.
Yes.
But that's what we're trying to do. And really like small, focused little things, I think is valuable in that online community.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's wonderful being here with you. It's like the third time I've seen you in a month, which is really cool.
Exactly.
And it's an awesome event. Thanks, Karina, for being here with us. We
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mia.
Thank you.